Hey Moonies, Sailor Ultima-kun here. Happy New Year 2026. That's only belated by 4 months. Last time I posted one of these was back in September of 2025. I was sick then. It's been quite a while since I've posted one of these. I know I'm horrible. But I dealt with a double ear infection. I dealt with getting the flu again. I dealt with several losses in my life that are personal and I'd rather not get into here. Um, that aside, I am finally bringing season 1 to a wrap. This is Sailor Moon season 1, part 2, disc 3. This covers episodes 40 to 46 of the original anime. As you can see, we've got Princess Serenity on the cover here, and as always, that's done for copyright purposes. Not that I ever expect these videos to be monetized or anything. This is just me giving my personal opinion, and eventually I would like to go through all the anime I own on DVD. And not just anime, like animated series too, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Hazbin Hotel, um, stuff like that, because this is fascinating to me, just to be able to give my take on things. Um, that mean a lot to me. And for Sailor Moon, even though I don't really like the original anime as much as the manga or Crystal adaptation of it, I am forever grateful to it for it being my introduction to the series and it being a gateway into me getting into anime, period. But with that, let us get into it. So episode 40 is the legendary Lake Yokai, the bond of Usagi's family. Now, I remember this one. This one has a popular fan theory that the lake lovers are actually supposed to be representations of Prince Endymion and Princess Serenity, and the one that was jealous of them is supposed to be a representation of Queen Beryl. So basically with this one, Usagi is with her family on vacation. Mamoru is there and he wakes up an ancient creature for whatever freaking reason. And the other senshi show up to help Usagi because, she can't transform in front of her family. Eventually she ends up doing it. The dub for this was really condescending and weird, but it is one thing I remember. I don't remember if in the sub it shows us. I would have to rewatch it. Like I said in my last review, what's taken me so long is that I'm actually probably going to have to rewatch season 3 and 4 again because those seasons I'm very fuzzy with. Who knows? I may actually go through all of it again just to get my notes up to date. I don't know. Like, I've watched seasons 1 and 2 in Japanese several times because those are the seasons that got butchered to death in the dub. Episodes were cut, episodes were heavily edited. In case in point, this was supposed to be in the dub. This was episode 36 as opposed to episode 40. So that just showed you how many episodes were cut right there. Seasons 3 and 4, at least the versions that I had on DVD, they were uncut. They were heavily censored, like Haruka and Michiru were referred to as Amara and Michelle, and they were cousins, but any idiot with a pair of eyes could figure out what was going on. Hell, my 8-year-old cousin figured out what was going on. But they still weren't as butchered as this. But I haven't watched those as often in Japanese, so they're kind of hazy to me. And like I said before, Stars, freaking forget it. I didn't even finish watching Stars because that season pisses me off to no regard. It was such a well done arc in the manga, and then you get to this malarkey that is the final dub, the final season in the anime, and you're like, what the hell is this nonsense? More on that when I get there. But I don't have a lot back on my ramblings. So in the dub anyways, and like I said, I don't know if this happens in the sub, we have a really sweet moment between Usagi and her mother where she can tell that Usagi is sad. She's mourning because Usagi's looking over the lake and she's holding the locket. And she's like, you find a boy you like, will you bring him home? All that good stuff. Or are you sad about something? You got your family here with you. I can't remember the exact wording of it. It's just, I don't know. Overall, it's not a bad episode. It's not cringy. Actually, a very sweet episode. I don't have any complaints about it. The girls are mostly in character. And for a filler episode, it's not bad. So episode 41 is I Won't Run Away from Love Anymore, Ami versus Mamoru. So this one attempts to bring back the 7 Rainbow Crystal Carriers. Off screen, several are captured. The main focus is I can't remember his freaking Japanese name. He was the 3rd Rainbow Crystal Carrier. His name is Greg in the dub. He's the main focus. And it leads to a showdown between Ami and Mamoru, who can transform willingly into Tuxedo Mask, and he's stronger as Endymon. He reveals to her that. And Usagi almost does successfully heal him. In fact, she does. But, Queen Beryl calls him back and reerases all of his memories again, which, I don't know, this episode is weird. Like, it is, like, it's kind of heartbreaking. Like, Ami did have that sweet relationship. And, like, in a few more episodes, she's going to meet her doom. But it's a good episode. Again, I don't really have much to say about this one. You get to see Ami's strength as the strategist of the team. There are a few awkward screen grabs of this episode, I guess you could say, but nothing horrendous. Definitely a few meme-worthy shots. But like I said, it's a good episode. Okay, so this is the one I've been dying to get to and talk about. This is episode 42. This episode never aired in the dub. This is Sailor Venus's Past, Minako's Tragic Love. So this is Minako's backstory. This was never aired in the dub. You get to see her time as Sailor V when she was working over in England with her friend Karina, I think her name was, who was a cop. She knew who Minako was. She knew she was Sailor V. And it was interesting to see. I understand why it wasn't aired, because Minako falls in love with a much, much older man. She's 13. You have to think. And when she was Sailor V, she was only 13 years old. And people give the whole gripe with Usagi and Mamoru, which I hate that the anime made him so much older. He's not in his 20s, people. When they meet, he's about 17, 18 years old. Still a little older than what would be comfortable, but fun facts. That was the age difference between me and my first boyfriend. I was 14, he was 17 going on 18. And that's why we ended up breaking up. But that aside, this is a tragic story. So during the fight in the past, they think she gets blown up during this thing, but she finds out that her friend Karina has fallen in love with this guy named Alan, so she lets them believe she's dead. And then fast forward years later, there's trouble again, and she helps Karina. But this time she's Sailor Venus, not Sailor V. Usagi has a cute little transformation here because Usagi helps her. It is a really powerful and emotional episode. I am so angry that I didn't get to watch this when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, Sailor Venus was my favorite character. And just, it was hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie. It was very hard to watch. It's heartbreaking. Okay, so moving on to episode 43, which is Usagi abandoned the falling out of the Sailor Guardians. This is another one that is very freaking hard to watch. So they're trying to find a way to get into the Dark Kingdom. So they're pretending to fight that Usagi's leaving the Sailor Senshi and they're turning on her. Like they're abandoning her, they're like she's on her own now, like they're fighting her, all that stuff. And Kunzai isn't stupid. He's not falling for it, but he's like, well, whatever. I have a chance at the Silver Crystal. I'm gonna go for it. But it's very heartbreaking to watch. You learn that Usagi trusted Rei with her crescent wand. In the dub, it made it out like she stole it, but I'm pretty sure Usagi trusted her with it. But it's a very hard one to watch. I don't have a lot to say about it, but it was for a filler episode. It's very well written, and I like it. We're moving on to episode 44, Usagi's Awakening, a message from the distant past. This is another one that's hard to watch, but for a different reason. It's very emotional. This is where we get the story of what happened all those years ago from Usagi's mother, Queen Serenity. They go back in time and they get to see the final days of the Moon Kingdom when Queen Beryl and her Dark Kingdom attacked. And although the dub heavily censored it, and even the anime heavily censored it, you basically see that Beryl kills Indinimon, and then Princess Serenity goes and kills herself too to go be with him, which is their tragic story. In the manga, she stabs herself with his sword after he's killed. In the anime, they just kind of float in the air awkwardly. And then Queen Serenity uses the power of her silver crystal to wipe them all out and send them to a new life on Earth. And in doing so, she kills herself too. And it's just a very tragic story. And it was heartbreaking to watch. If you want a fun fact about the dub, Queen Serenity has voice actress in the dub comes back. She was actually Sailor Neptune's voice actress as well in the Deke/Cloverway dub. Little fun trivia fact there. But and this is also the episode when Kunzai meets his fate. Kind of an anticlimactic thing, I would say. Like he was thrown, his death is into like literally one and done. Like I felt like it had no build up. And I feel like the animators were like, oh shit, we've only got like 2 episodes left. We gotta get rid of this guy and we gotta get rid of him fast. Like he's literally the strongest Shintentu and he's the last one to go. I know in the manga they check out pretty fucking fast too, but that just seemed too fast, if you know what I mean. Speaking of the last episode, so the last episode is actually a 2-parter. In the dub, this was heavily edited, heavily cut, and was 1 episode. But episode 45 is Death of the Sailor Guardians, the tragic final battle. So this one focuses on the first half of the episode when they're at D point and where all 4 of the Senshi die. Now in the dub, it was like, oh, they're going to the Negaverse. But like, no, like we were smart. Like most of us figured out they were dead. You're not supposed to see their deformed bodies, but they forgot there's one Sailor Says segment where you see them as ghosts talking to her. And I remember as a kid being like, what episode is that from? That's like, they're on the ice. Like, but when did that happen? That's from like the Day of Destiny. It's fucking emotional as shit. Excuse my mouth. But you know what I say, what I always say on this, it's F-bombs are going to drop here. It's intense. It literally ends right after Mars' death, I believe. And Usagi's all by herself and like she knows she has to go and fight alone. I remember having to pause after I watched this for the first time in Japanese, and I was just like, oh my god, how just there's just too much emotions to compress into this. It's tragic. The Doom and Gloom girls are amazing freaking warriors. A lot of people have contracted theories about them being, students at Usagi school to learn more about them and being, parallels to the Senshi, which is what they should have done. That would have been such a much better thing. Like, because every other season after this, all the Senshi have a counterpart. They each have their own Akashi sister counterpart, their own Witches 5 counterpart, their own Amazon Quartet counterpart, and their own, I can't remember what Galaxia's minions are called, but they have their own counterpart with hers, too. The Shadow Galactia counterpart. So they could have done that. Because that's essentially what happens is, and they all have these tragic scenes like, Jupiter's impaled with ice, Venus is basically melted to death, so Mercury's melted to death. And like Mars is like exhausted to the point of just like it's sad. Bringing on to the final episode 46, Usagi's Eternal Wish, A Brand New Life. So now Usagi fights Beryl / Queen Metalia. In the battle with Beryl, she has to fight Indiniman too, and it is extremely emotional and heartbreaking to watch. She won't fight back. She's devastated. She's heartbroken, and like she finally just whips her tiara at him. That doesn't work. Like the Crescent Moon one, the Moon Healing Escalation doesn't work. The tiara doesn't work, and finally it's the locket that gets through to him and heals him. And then he takes another hit and like ends up dying protecting her. And the thing that was cut out and like that's when Beryl dies, but like she sells her soul to Metalia to be revived, and Usagi's got to go finish her off, but we'll get back to that. The most touching thing that I remember that they cut out of the sub, because I guess they didn't want the kids to see that he was dead, is like she's leaning over him and is like, I can't kiss you because my friends didn't get to kiss their loves goodbye, like referring to Rei with Yuichiro and Ami with what's his name. But I'm pretty sure she mentions Rei with Yuichiro. And then she goes to face off Queen Metalia, and she actually transforms herself into Princess Serenity. And it's this big final showdown, and she's got all the spirits of her friends around her, and it was such... I remember being as a kid and hearing the freaking Carry On song play, and like, say what you want about the deep dub, but the music, as cheesy as it is to think of it now, some of those songs were bangers, and I will still jam to them to this day. Carry On, Power of Love especially, and My Only Lover in my playlist to this day. It's emotional, it's intense, it was a perfect finale. And then like you see all these girls have forgotten each other because at the time they didn't realize that they were going to be doing a new season. And for whatever reason, the anime did not like Mamoru, so they were just hoping to kill him off. But then they got the season 2 manga, and then they were like, oh shit, we got to keep this guy alive. They have a daughter together. Well, wraps up this one. Let me know what you want me to do next. If you want me to continue on to Sailor Moon R, if you would like me to just do all of Sailor Moon first before moving on to Cardcaptor Sakura, which is the next one I would have planned to do, or if there's another series you'd like me to do. Until then, peace, Moonies.